are back in the After Media Lab with Caleb and Zach recording the greatest shir in Sefer Pituchei Chotam from Rabbeinu Yaakov Avicha Tzira. It is Parshat Behar. Wow, it's a Shemitah year and we're learning Parshat Behar, but we are going to focus on the amazing mitzvah that Kadosh Baruch Hu gives us of tzedakah. What a beautiful mitzvah tzedakah is. You take from what your life. You spend your life earning money and you give it to somebody else. HaKadosh Baruch Hu always pays back. Midah keneged midah. And if you give life to somebody, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you life back. Let's see how Rabbi Yaakov is maram is this in this week's parsha. The Torah tells us, V'chiyamach achicha. If your brother, at Klal Yisrael, we're brothers, comes under hard times, v'chzak deboy, v'ger v'toisha v'chayimach, and you treat him as a resident, and you let him live by your side. So it says Rabbi Yaakov like this. We are familiar with the concept, ki oni choshuv kames. There are 4 people that are considered like they are dead, and one of them is an ani, a person who is poor. It's choshuv kames. Just reminds me of I got a little tangent over here, but the Rosh Hashiva Reb Nassim Tzvi Finkel, the Mir, would say from Reb Chaim Shulevitz, ki ani choshuv kames, because when a person doesn't have to whom to give, when you're only on the receiving end, you can't give, that's like mitzvah. But an ani, in any event, is choshuv kames. And that's why when you help him out and you give him, so that means you gave him life. So that means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to pay you back with life. The Gemara tells us, this is Shlomo Melech tells us, tzedakah is tatzil mimaves. When you give charity that saves you from death, now you see why. Because if an ani is chashiv kemeis and you give him tzedakah, so memegla HaKadosh Baruch Hu is forced to save you too. Now this concept tzedakah tatzil mimaves, the Gemara in Shabbos Kuf Nun Vav tells us that is not only from a misa mishuna, that you shouldn't die some crazy death, but it actually extends your life. I want to share with you one of these stories there, because today is Lag BaOmer, and this story happened with Rabbi Akiva. So the Gemara tells us in Shabbos that Rabbi Akiva had a daughter, and like one of these astrologers, the people who looked at the stars. So they came to him and they said, listen, we saw Rabbi Akiva, that on the day that you bring your daughter to get married, she will be killed by a snake. So this was something that always worried the daughter. And it was that day, the day arrived, and it was time to go to the chasna. And as she had a pin in her hair, and she stuck it into a hole in the wall to leave it there for safekeeping. And the next morning, when she took out her pin, out with her pin came out a dead snake. So what happened? So the daughter asked Rabbi Akiva, I killed a snake, and they were so relieved, But what happened? So Rabbi Akiva said, at the chasana, I noticed that there was an ani there, and because of the noise and the excitement at the chasana, nobody was paying attention to him. So I took my portion of food that I was given at the chasana, and I gave it to this ani. I gave it to this poor person. Says Nafak Rabbi Akiva v'darash tzedakah tatzil mimaves. Not just the misa mishuna, but it saves from death. And that's midah keneged midah, says Rabbi Yaakov. Because you gave an ani who was chashav kameis, you gave him life. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to be ma'isiv, he has to give you life. He's got to add on to your life. Let's take a look at the pasuk. V'chiyamach achicha umada yada imach. So when another yid is in a difficult situation, and he's chashuv kameis, and says the Torah, v'chzak deboy, give him chizuk, give him tzedakah, give him life, t'chayes nafshay, give him back his life. Ger, that means if there was nigzer on you, that you should be like a ger and not have long life. You should be just like a sojourner here. The Toshav, you will be considered a resident. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will allow you to live here for longer than you were planned. The Chai Imach and Midah Keneged Midah, you get more chiyas. Says Rabbi Yaakov, this doesn't just apply to Olam Haza, to this world. The same is true to Chaye Nitzchi. that ger, if you don't have so many zechusim, and maybe you would be like a ger in the olam ha'emes. Toshav, you'll be considered a Toshav v'chaimach, and you'll spend time living together with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Have an awesome Shabbos.